picking it up from where we were a couple of months ago at chapter 22. So Igator, therefore, when he besieged Aquilium in vain, frustra, Maximus, our nominative, he he sent delegates or an embassy, legates into the same city he was besieging. Quipus populus, in which the people of Aquilium, this populace, they almost consensuated, they felt together that unless Menophilus, some guy with his colleague, they would have resisted. But all the people, they were dickens, saying, what have we got? Even the god Bellinum, this is a Celtic god which become corresponding to Apollo, through the horospices, through the soothsayers, they had responded that Maximus, this guy up here, he would have won. Okay, so in English, these two people wanted to resist, but the people all felt together that since the soothsayers said that the Romans are going to win, so they weren't going to resist. 2. Undi, from which, even afterwards, the milites, the soldiers of Maximinius, is there supposed to be that many N's in there? Anyway, it is said that they boasted, they yaktassied, that Apollo, the god, had fought against them. And Ilium, we've got Victorium, and this victory was not of Maximus or of the Senate, fourth declension, but it was of the gods. 3. Quod, which or because, quidam. Indeed, id circo, for this reason, they say this has been fictitious or created by these men who are armed, because they were embarrassed. They were irubeskin, which means they were blushing, because thus almost they had been victi, had been one armed people had been beaten by the inermibus unarmed people. 4. With a ponte, with a bridge, idaque, and so, sometimes a good look at the second word first, and so with a bridge factoed, made Maximus across the river. So it looks like this is by casks, or a cooper is it's a bunch of things. It can be handles and other things, but it's looks like a vat or something, or barrels. And he copied it. He began to obsidere, which is can be spelled with a P or a B, began to blockade or besiege Aquilo from nearby. So he began having a look at it. 5. Autem. Moreover, it was an ingens obpugniate. It was a huge besiegement, and then it was a disagreement. So it's a bit of a crisis, turning point, or danger. This action, when the citizens say themselves, with sulphur and flames and the rest of this mode of sort of thing, this type of things, defended themselves from the soldiers, from propugnaculas. These are usually little battlements or something off the wall or something like that. So they were chucking sulphur and fire down. Okay, here's a daily dictionary from Lewis and Short. Cooper. Down here it's the handle of an oil mill, or a crooked handle. We're talking a tub, casks, ton, vats for holding liquids, especially wine. And a female vintner or winemaker is a coper, which is up here, also spelt C-O or C-U. So that's what these casks were. Anyway, people are getting burnt with flame and sulphur, of which allies. Some were denuded, let's say passive, denuded from their arms or lost their arms, the weapons. The vestments, the clothing of others, aliorum, were in sedibantors, they were burnt up. And the oculi, the eyes of others, were extinguished, or their eyes went out, their eyes lost their eyesight. Even the machinamenta, the machines of war, were overturned or destroyed or something. 6. Interhake, amongst this going on, Maximus, with his filio adolescent, with his adolescent son, whom he appellowed Caesar, who he called Caesar, to go around, circumere the walls, as much as so that he was satisfactorily safe. So that he was posset, which takes the infinitive, so he was able to go around in a circle around the walls, and as much as he was allowed to be safe from the yaktu, from weapons, from the throwing distance of weapons. And now he's to his own men, he's suosses with words, and now to the Oppadani, the townfolk, he began to implore them, to rogare them. 7. Virum nihil proficit, but nothing perfect, didn't benefit them or help him. 4. Much in the accusative towards him for the sake of crudelity, for the sake of cruelty, post-positive, and towards his son, who was very handsome, specioissimus, superlative. So there was much probra, much insult were congested upon them, were heaped up on them. Okay, so therefore Maximus. So his sparings, which was hoping, present participle. Therefore Maximus did something hoping by the ignavia, the cowardliness of his men, of his suorum, that the sparings is a verb, takes the infinitive, so there's a passive infinitive. So he was thinking that the cowardness of his men were dragging out the bellum, dragging out the war. He interremitted his dukes. He killed off his generals. In that time, in which it was leastly opportune, when he leastly ought to have done it, from where to him, or for him, his soldiers even oratio. They become more irate, and they showed it basically. Now the Loeb has said that he had to build that bridge from those vats, or those barrels, because melting snow had destroyed the bridge, or it had swelled up the snow and natives had destroyed, something like that. So Huck. Hence, a cedibet, something that would add to this, was that they were getting deficient in their provisions in their commuter buses, because the Senate, to all provinces, and the custodes of the ports, guardians of the ports, had dederated litteras that sent letters or given letters out. Lest aliquid of commodums, lest anything in the way of provisions, should venerate into the potestam of Maximus. Lest any provisions that come into the power of Maximus. Miserat, it had sent, the Senate, praeteri besides, through all the civitates, through all the city regions, praetors and quaestorial men, they're like officers of Rome, who would agerent custodiuses everywhere, ubiques everywhere. So they would place guards basically everywhere, and everything against Maximus they would defend. 4. Deniqui, finally, or in short, effectum est. It was brought about, it was affected, that obsessi, it can be a P or a B, while he was besieging the Angustius in the straits of besieging, himself suffered while he was besieging. Something happened to him while he was besieging. 5. It was announced, it was Nuntia Bartord, amongst this going on, the orb of the world in other words, they were all in agreement, consensus, in hatred of Maximus. So it was announced everywhere that everyone hated him. 6. Quare, therefore, the timentes milites, the fearing soldiers, of whom adfectus were in the Alban Mont. That's a fourth declension. It's in the plural, so it means loved ones when it's in the plural. It can just mean love or feelings otherwise. So these soldiers who had loved ones in the Alban mountain, by chance, forte, in media dea, in the middle of the day when they were quaerescering, it's singular there, when they were resting from a battle, so they were just having time off to rest. These Millites were resting, and Maximus and the filius of him and his son, they kidderunted, so it's back in the plural there. They killed Maximus and his son, who were positioned in a tent, in their tent. And the capita of them, eorum, the heads of them were prefixed. The prefixed heads of them were put onto contuses, which are poles. and demonstrated or shown to the datives, the Aquiliensibus people, the citizens of this place they were at. Almost done. 7. Igator. Therefore, in the town, in the Oppido vicinity, in the vicinity town, the nearby town, start him immediately. Statues and images of Maximinius were deposited. They were chucked away. And of his prefect praetorium, that shouldn't be a capital, that full stop's just a little shortened version. So his prefect was killed, and with his more clarior friends, with his more famous friends. And even Missa Capita Romam. You don't put ad with Rome, so it goes, even the heads were sent to Rome of Eorum, of them. Okay.